When Shakti initiated me, I would never in a million years have foreseen what consequences this would have for me. Um, 10 years ago, I had my first Kundalini push. It was traumatic. It was destructive for all the form I had accumulated in my life in back then. I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost the relationship I was in. I even got sectioned into psychiatry for a few weeks because I wasn't able to just take care of myself. That's how big of a crisis the ego and also my body was in. Although I knew what was happening to me. So that was kind of a resting point, if you will, in the storm I was in. Um, but I didn't have in that period of my life, I didn't have people around me who could support me in it. I know a lot of you guys who have gone through a Kundalini awakening. It's just very sad. A lot of you get sections in psychiatry because there is just not enough knowledge and know-how into how to guide a person while going through such a powerful transformation. Well, for me, when after a few weeks I got home again, I was not the same anymore in so many ways. And I guess a lot of you guys recognize that once Shakti initiates you, um, little did I knew then nothing would ever be the same anymore. What changes when Shakti starts waking up inside of your consciousness, inside of your system, she becomes your first and last priority in life. You don't what you want becomes irrelevant. So not a lot of people, that is very rare, completely burn all the illusions away after the first push. So you still have a certain egoic functioning after the first push. So while the great divine mother was wanting to guide me in the first, well, I must say the first 2-3 years I wasn't very how do you say that, surrendered to her guidance. My ego was still wanting a lot of things out of life. I was still very much identified with wanting a relationship in life. I couldn't work anymore because Shakti was bringing me to my knees over and over again when I wanted to pick up certain work related stuff. It just she didn't let me, and it was for me very frustrating. I fought her tooth and nail. It was a very difficult surrendering process for me to let her innate wisdom guide me from then on. Um, it took me years. Now I'm 10 years further after my first push. My second big push came in the beginning of this year. It was just as um, traumatic and all, how do you say that? It was one big blow that just dissolved such a big chunk of what was needing to die inside of me. Um, the ego started having pretty deep suicidal ideation. Um, this time, um, I could handle it better because I have gone through it uh, one time earlier, but still, what it did to me was so, I don't even have the words for it. Guys, people who know me know I haven't have so much trouble in verbalizing myself. I'm much of the time quite good at communicating what's going on a energetic, emotional level. But what a Kundalini awakening does is so hard to explain in words. It's the same as wanting to communicate to you guys what the sunrise does to me. What how do you explain that? But I'm going to give it a try anyway because I know a lot of souls are in this time frame being initiated by Shakti. A lot of souls are waking up to their innate nature, and this can lead to very disturbing existential problems in their lives. So this beginning of this year, I really needed medicative support to get me a bit stable again, to get me a bit grounded again, because this push was so all it was burning so much away that I needed support. And I can highly recommend. There are so many people in the spiritual community who have a lot of judgments about medication. Know that there are a lot of people whom I've also spoken to. It's really not uncommon to have a period of time medicative support when you're going through such a profound awakening. People who do have judgments about it, it's fine, but just let everybody walk their own path, make their own decisions. Everybody has a different path to walk. There is no one way, one size fits all in this great journey of Kundalini awakening. Now, let's see how many months I've got further since I got my second push. I think I'm 7 months further, so I have been integrating for 7 months since my second big push happened. And I'm still not done integrating. That's how big a Kundalini awakening is. You know, you can have your dark nights of the soul, you can have certain awakenings, but it is different than a Kundalini awakening. How is it different? I experienced also dark nights of the soul and deaths and rebirths uh, in the past 10 years since my first push, but it's not all destructive. It's not. It is a part of you that is dying, and you have a certain presence that is very capable of observing the whole process that you're in when you're going through a dark night of the soul, or when you're going to a certain death and rebirth. But when you are going through a Kundalini awakening, it sets you on fire completely. Your whole nervous system is fried. Um, there is just so much burning away inside of you at once that it just literally feels like dying. There is so much identification and illusion being um, exposed, um, that it takes the mind cannot grasp what is happening. It's just it's not. The mind is too little of a equipment to understand the how do you say, the magnitude of what is happening. So a natural response of your system is experiencing tremendous anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal ideations, deep depression, um, tremendous exhaustion. And this is not an exhaustion that we get now from all the solar flares and upgrade, although those are very heavy also. But when you go through a Kundalini push, there is just so much that is being burned away at once, that the integration that is needed in a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level is tremendous. It's just top sport. There is so much that needs to be integrated after that, that the body is completely exhausted from all the transmutation that is happening 24/7. To be honest, that is how big this is. The first months after my first and second big Kundalini push, I couldn't do anything. Shakti wouldn't let me even go for walks longer than 10 or 15 minutes. I was resting a lot. I could only just eat and not even sleep because I was wired constantly. But to get back to what I wanted to discuss, not so much the symptoms of a Kundalini awakening, but what it really invites you in is something that needs, how do I put this? Um, it needs a lot of integration into becoming spiritually mature. And what do I mean by that? Um, before we, I will talk for myself, before Shakti initiated me, I had a pretty strong will. And I was, in a way, I was already for a few years, I think 5 years before my first Kundalini push started, I was already pretty deep into spirituality. But I was mentally still in the understanding that I have a life instead of that I am life. So there were still so many stories about how my life is supposed to go, what I thought I needed, what I thought should happen in my life, what I thought I how I should function, and so forth and so forth. And it took me quite some years to build this relationship with Shakti, because once the genie, I said this more often in videos about the Kundalini awakening, once a genie is out of the bottle, there's no putting her back in again. She will be there for the rest of your life, and she will be the one who's calling the shots. You're gonna need to learn to surrender to her guidance, to her wisdom, and you're gonna need to learn to trust her. And I think a lot of people, including myself, has struggled with this last one big time. Trusting Shakti is something that takes a lot of time. And in the moments when really the waters are calm and there is not a lot of transformation happening, we are way more inclined to trust life, to trust in how life is treating us. But the moment where we are being tested, and it's right in those moments, whether it's we're tested in our physical health, we're tested in existential crisis, we're tested in people leaving out of our lives, we're tested in things that we lose, like I have lost so much in the past 10 years, and I constantly kept on building things up. And of course, it was still a huge chunk of my will that didn't want to surrender to Shakti. It's like, okay, it's all good and nice that you're trying to. So there was, oh my God, my ego. I was not willing to completely understand what it entails to get the opportunity, because it is a blessing. In the end, it's a blessing to get the blessings of Shakti, to get initiated by her. But I wasn't ready to surrender to her. So I was constantly my will was constantly trying to build things, like for instance, a relationship or a job, or my routines in life, what I thought I needed if it came to routines. And where it got me is I was constantly being shown to drop everything out of my hands. And it brought me to my knees over and over again until I gave up. And I think that happened the beginning of this year. So completely giving up on stories about what I think my life should, which direction my life should go, what I think I should um, build or whatever. I completely gave up in the beginning of this year after my second push. Um, it is a strange way of living still for me. I don't have any mental direction. I don't have any future stories in my mind. I just meditation has become um, everything. Connecting with Shakti has become everything, letting her guide me through the day, um, using my sensitivity and intuitive skills to connect with her is basically what most of my day is about. And the questioning why is not it's not in my life anymore. It's hard to explain. I've had it for so many years. Why can I not do this or that? Why blah 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 blah. All the whys were resistance in my life. Um, the insight that my life is about awakening, that my life is about um, devotion to Shakti, is something I really would never ever thought would happen to me in my life. Um, you don't choose her, she chooses you. And this is an acceptance process, although it can go, and it really goes along with also beautiful creation in how my life unfolds, because I learned trusting her, because I see, if I look back at how my life was 10 years ago and how my life is now, I see what she's doing. She's a very wise mother that is taking me by the hand. And she is so loving. She is so all compassionate. And sometimes a mother needs to be a bit more harsh. And then there are moments that I'm screaming and crying my way through what she wants me to learn. But afterwards, when I'm going through these lessons, not always when I'm in the middle of that, but afterwards, I can really recognize why she had me surrendering to what I needed to surrender to. And this makes it very, very difficult for your surroundings if you are still very much enmeshed into life as working, or being a parent, or being in connection with your family, or with friends. I was enmeshed in that also in the beginning of my awakening, and it was, I wasn't able to, people couldn't understand my silence. I sometimes I would go days needing to be silent, being almost in constant meditation. Um, so what happened, I started to the gap between me and the world I was living in was becoming wider and wider. I am now completely on my own, um, and I must say I have found peace with this. This is apparently what God, where God wants me to be. I'm in its school of solitude. I'm not resisting being molded and squeezed anymore. My spiritual path is such urgency that there is just, I just gave up. this is apparently my path, and learning to embrace what path I am walking in this life is something that I remind myself of every day. And I know a lot of people don't get the chance to get to know source essence in such a profound way. So in that way, I'm really blessed to um, get to touch the core of life. And I heard a lot of people say on my channel, it's a blessing and a curse, and I feel it like this too. I can't say um, I'm also still human, so I also experience it's a blessing and a curse part. There are days when I'm so blessed and peaceful with the path Shakti is guiding me towards, but there are also days where I'm like, I don't have any money. I would like to go on vacation. I would um I would love to be intimate again. Intimacy is something a lot of people struggle with detaching from, me including. Um, there are days when I'm really struggling with the intimacy, um, the lack of intimacy with people. But there are also days I'm truly blessed to be alone, and I see why I have to be alone. Um, yeah, so that is basically what I wanted to share with you guys. If it comes to being initiated by Shakti, it is it's deep. It always keeps me lost for words, although I see I'm already rambling on for almost half an hour. I would love to hear from you guys your own experience in um, surrendering to this process. Yes, much love to you guys, and talk to you next time.